Most homeowners unknowingly damage their lawn every single August. They water too often, mow too short, fertilize at the wrong time, or panic the moment they see brown patches appearing. Then, a few weeks later, they're left wondering why their once green lawn suddenly looks thin, tired, and covered in weeds. Here's the surprising part. August isn't usually the month that destroys a lawn. It's the month that exposes every mistake you've been making since the beginning of summer. The good news is that it's not too late to turn things around. In today's video, I'll walk you through the most important things your lawn needs during August, the mistakes that quietly weaken it, and the simple changes that help it come through late summer healthier, stronger, and ready to thrive when cooler weather arrives. Stay with me until the end, because one of the final steps is something many homeowners completely overlook, yet it can determine how successful your lawn recovery will be this autumn. Before we dive into today's video, I have a major announcement. The gardening guide you've been writing to me about for months is finally here. The Plant Once Garden is officially out. You have been incredibly patient with me while I took the time to get this right. It is approximately 150 pages of everything this channel teaches, gathered into one complete reference. Designed with a hand-drawn heritage cover and warm cream pages that feel like a guide your grandmother would have owned. Inside, you'll find the 90 perennial plants that come back every year with almost no labor, 6 complete garden plans, the no-labor planting calendar, and the hydrogen peroxide method explained completely. I've also included the specific perennials that bring hummingbirds singing and dancing right outside your window, the chapter on what your garden becomes over 20 years, and the mistakes that kill perennials. This is a reference you can lean on for the rest of your gardening life. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now, or click the link in the pinned comment or description below to get your copy. Thank you again for your patience. Now, let's get your lawn through August the right way. 1. Water deeply and infrequently. One of the biggest August mistakes isn't failing to water. It's watering too often. When the weather turns hot, many homeowners grab the hose every evening and give the lawn a quick sprinkle, thinking they're helping the grass survive another scorching day. In reality, those short watering sessions do very little for the roots. The surface gets wet, the blades look refreshed for a few hours, but the deeper soil stays dry. Grass always follows the water. If moisture only reaches the top inch of soil, that's exactly where the roots stay. The result is a shallow root system that struggles the moment temperatures climb or rainfall disappears for a few days. Instead, your goal throughout August should be to water deeply and far less often. Aim for roughly 1 to 1.5 inches of water each week, delivered in 1 or 2 long watering sessions. That allows moisture to soak well into the root zone, where the soil stays cooler for much longer. As the surface begins to dry between watering sessions, the roots naturally grow deeper in search of moisture. Over time, that creates a lawn that's far more resilient during heat waves, drought, and periods of water restriction. Deep roots are your lawn's insurance policy. They allow the grass to keep drawing moisture long after the surface has dried out. If you're constantly watering lightly every day, you're actually training your lawn to become dependent on daily irrigation. Skip a day, and the grass immediately begins to struggle. Teach your lawn to look deeper for water, and it'll reward you with stronger growth long after August is over. 2. Water strictly in the early morning. Knowing how much to water is only half the equation. When you water matters just as much. The ideal watering window is between 5 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning. During these early hours, temperatures are lower, winds are usually calmer, and far less water is lost to evaporation before it reaches the root zone. Compare that with watering during the middle of the afternoon. The hottest part of the day can cause a significant amount of water to evaporate before the soil has a chance to absorb it. You're using more water while giving the lawn less of what it actually needs. Evening watering creates a completely different problem. As temperatures fall overnight, moisture remains trapped on the grass blades for hours. Those damp conditions become an ideal environment for fungal diseases that often appear during late summer. Brown patch, dollar spot, and rust all thrive when warmth combines with prolonged moisture sitting on the leaf blades. A simple change to your watering schedule can dramatically reduce those risks, without spending a single extra pound on treatments or products. If you rely on an irrigation system, adjust the timer so it finishes watering shortly after sunrise rather than just before bedtime. If you're watering manually, try making it part of your morning routine instead of something you do after work. Your lawn will absorb water more efficiently, you'll waste less of it, and you'll create conditions that favor healthy grass rather than disease. 3. Maintain high mowing heights. The next mistake often surprises people because it starts with something they've been doing for years. They mow their lawn too short. It creates that freshly trimmed appearance for a few days, but in August, cutting grass too low places unnecessary stress on a lawn that's already dealing with intense summer conditions. Think of every blade of grass as a tiny umbrella. The taller it stands, the more shade it casts across the soil beneath it. That shade helps keep the ground cooler, slows moisture loss, and reduces the amount of direct sunlight reaching weed seeds waiting to germinate. For cool season lawns, keeping the mowing height around 3 to 4 inches, or even slightly higher where appropriate, provides valuable protection during August. Warm season grasses such as Bermuda can be maintained lower, but they still shouldn't be scalped simply for appearance. Every time you remove too much of the blade, the grass has to spend precious energy replacing what was lost instead of strengthening its root system. The shorter the grass becomes, the faster the soil heats up. Hotter soil dries more quickly. Roots experience greater stress. Weeds gain an advantage. What looked neat after mowing can quickly become a lawn that's struggling to recover. A slightly taller lawn might not resemble a golf course, but it will generally outperform a heavily scalped lawn throughout the hottest weeks of the season. Sometimes the healthiest lawn isn't the shortest one on the street. It's the one that's been allowed to protect itself. 4. Keep mower blades sharp. Even if you're mowing at the correct height, another problem can quietly undo all of your efforts. Your mower blades. August grass is much tougher than the soft growth you cut during spring. Dry conditions and slower growth mean mower blades dull more quickly than many people realize. A sharp blade slices cleanly through each blade of grass. A dull blade tears it. Those torn tips often turn white or brown within a day or two, giving the entire lawn a faded appearance even when it's perfectly healthy. The damage goes beyond appearance. Every ragged cut creates a larger wound that loses moisture more rapidly and leaves the grass more vulnerable to disease during one of the most stressful months of the year. If your lawn looks slightly gray or frayed after mowing, don't automatically assume it needs fertilizer or extra water. Take a closer look at the cut ends of the grass. If they appear shredded instead of cleanly cut, the mower blade is often the real culprit. Checking the blade before the busiest part of late summer is one of the simplest maintenance jobs you can do. Yet it has an immediate impact on how your lawn looks after every cut. Sometimes the solution isn't buying another lawn product. It's sharpening the tool you already own. 5. Leave grass clippings on the lawn. Many homeowners finish mowing and immediately reach for the collection bag because they believe every clipping needs to be removed. In most cases, that's unnecessary. Short grass clippings are one of the easiest ways to give your lawn a helping hand during August. As they break down, they return valuable nutrients back into the soil, including nitrogen that the grass can gradually reuse. They also create a light protective layer across the soil surface that helps reduce moisture loss between watering sessions. Think of them as a natural mulch that your lawn produces for free every single time you mow. There's only one important exception. If you've allowed the lawn to become excessively long and mowing leaves behind thick piles or heavy clumps, those should be removed. Dense mats of clippings can block sunlight and air from reaching the grass underneath, creating the opposite of what you're trying to achieve. The key is mowing often enough that the clippings remain short and scattered evenly across the lawn. When they're barely noticeable after mowing, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. By now, you've probably noticed a common theme running through every step we'd covered. None of them involve expensive products. They focus on giving the grass the conditions it needs to protect itself during one of the toughest months of the year. But there's another August decision that has an even bigger impact than watering or mowing, because making the wrong choice can weaken one type of lawn while dramatically helping another. Before you spread a single bag of fertilizer, you need to know exactly what kind of grass is growing beneath your feet, and that's where we'll go next. One of the biggest reasons lawn advice seems to contradict itself every August is because homeowners often assume every lawn should be treated exactly the same. That's simply not the case. Before you spread fertilizer, increase watering, or start worrying about a lawn that's beginning to lose its color, you need to know what type of grass you're actually growing. Broadly speaking, lawns fall into two categories: cool season grasses and warm season grasses. That single difference determines how your lawn responds to August heat and what it needs over the next several weeks. Cool season grasses include Kentucky bluegrass, tall fescue, and perennial ryegrass. These grasses thrive during the cooler temperatures of spring and autumn, but August is usually their most difficult month. Extended heat places them under considerable stress. Growth slows dramatically, and in some cases, they naturally enter dormancy as a survival mechanism. Warm season grasses behave very differently. Bermuda, zoysia, St. Augustine, and centipede grasses actually enjoy the heat. While cool season lawns are trying to conserve energy, warm season lawns are often growing at their fastest and making the most of the long, hot days. That difference changes almost every lawn care decision you'll make during August. This is also where many homeowners become confused by USDA hardiness zones. The USDA zone map is extremely useful when deciding which grass species can survive the winter where you live. Zones 3 through 6 generally favor cool season grasses. Zones 9 through 11 are best suited for warm season varieties, while zones 7 and 8 form the transition zone where either type may be grown depending on local conditions. But here's something many gardening guides fail to explain. Your USDA hardiness zone doesn't tell you exactly when to fertilize, overseed, or apply weed prevention during August. It only measures average minimum winter temperatures. Two homeowners can both live in USDA Zone 7 and experience completely different August conditions. One may be dealing with weeks of intense heat and dry soil, while another enjoys much milder temperatures. Following the calendar alone often leads to disappointing results. Instead, pay close attention to two things: your grass type and your soil temperature. Grass roots respond to what's happening beneath the surface far more than they respond to the date printed on a calendar. Understanding those two factors will help you make better decisions throughout the rest of the growing season and avoid many of the costly mistakes that leave lawns struggling when autumn finally arrives. 6. Adjust fertilization based on grass type. Few lawn care jobs cause more unnecessary damage in August than applying fertilizer simply because it's been sitting in the garage waiting to be used. Many homeowners believe a lawn that's looking pale automatically needs feeding. Sometimes, the exact opposite is true. If you have a cool season lawn that's struggling through prolonged summer heat, applying a heavy nitrogen fertilizer can create even more stress instead of solving the problem. Nitrogen encourages rapid leaf growth. That sounds beneficial until you remember what the grass is already dealing with: high temperatures, dry soil, heat stress, limited energy reserves. Forcing the plant to produce a flush of new growth during these conditions demands energy that the root system simply doesn't have to spare. Instead of strengthening the lawn, heavy feeding can weaken it further, scorch the blades, and increase the risk of additional stress. That's why cool season lawns are generally better off waiting until late August or early September before receiving significant nitrogen applications, once temperatures begin to moderate and active growth naturally resumes. At that point, the grass can use those nutrients efficiently to rebuild roots, thicken the turf, and recover from everything summer has thrown at it. Warm season lawns are different. Because August falls within their active growing season, late July through early August is often the final opportunity to apply nitrogen before growth begins slowing later in the year. Rather than stressing the lawn, a correctly timed feeding helps warm season grasses continue producing healthy growth while storing energy ahead of winter dormancy. The important point isn't simply whether to fertilize, it's knowing whether your lawn is actually prepared to benefit from it. The same bag of fertilizer can produce completely different results depending on the grass beneath your feet. Before applying anything, take a moment to identify what you're growing. That small step often prevents expensive mistakes and gives your lawn exactly what it needs instead of what you assume it needs. Quick question for you. Let me know in the comments below what region or USDA zone you're watching from and whether you're working with a cool season or warm season lawn. It helps me tailor future videos specifically for your area. 7. Maintain dormant lawns correctly. One of the hardest things for homeowners to accept is that sometimes doing less is actually the best thing you can do for your lawn. Imagine walking outside one morning and noticing large sections of grass turning brown. The immediate reaction is almost always the same. More water, more fertilizer, anything to bring the green color back as quickly as possible. But if you have a cool season lawn experiencing prolonged heat and drought, those brown areas may not be dying at all. They may simply be dormant. Dormancy is one of the lawn's natural survival strategies. Instead of continuing active growth under extreme stress, the grass slows its metabolism and conserves energy until conditions improve. Although the blades lose their green appearance, the crown and root system remain alive beneath the surface, waiting for cooler weather to return. Trying to force a dormant lawn back into rapid growth rarely ends well. Heavy nitrogen applications encourage fresh top growth when the roots are already under pressure. Excessive watering doesn't necessarily wake the lawn up either. Instead, it often wastes water while increasing the likelihood of disease and other problems. A better approach is to keep the lawn alive rather than trying to make it actively grow. Providing approximately 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of water each week is usually enough to keep the crown and root system healthy until temperatures begin to fall naturally. Then, as cooler weather returns, the lawn resumes growth on its own without being forced through one of the most stressful periods of the year. Patience is often one of the most valuable lawn care tools you have. Not every brown lawn needs rescuing. Sometimes it simply needs the chance to protect itself exactly as nature intended. By the way, if you're looking to completely transform your yard into a low-maintenance paradise, don't forget that my full reference guide, The Plant Once Garden, is now officially available. It's 150 pages covering all the perennial foundations and permanent setups we talk about on this channel. You can scan the QR code right here on the screen or find the link in the pinned comment below to grab your copy. Now, let's keep going, because even a perfectly watered and properly fertilized lawn can still begin to decline if you miss the warning signs that appear above and below the soil. Those simple checks often reveal whether you're dealing with drought, insects, disease, or something entirely different before the damage spreads. 8. Perform the screwdriver and tug tests. One of the quickest ways to make an expensive lawn care mistake is to assume every brown patch has the same cause. From a distance, drought stress, grub damage, disease, and even summer dormancy can all look remarkably similar. That's why reaching for fertilizer, insect killer, or extra water before identifying the problem often wastes both time and money. Fortunately, you don't need specialist equipment to narrow down what's happening. You can learn a great deal with 2 simple tests that take less than a minute. The first is the screwdriver test. Take a standard screwdriver and push it straight into the soil where the lawn is struggling. If it slides into the ground with very little effort, there's usually adequate moisture in the root zone. The problem is likely something other than drought. If the screwdriver stops almost immediately or takes significant force to push into the soil, that's a strong indication the ground has become extremely dry. Moisture isn't reaching the roots, and the lawn is beginning to suffer because of it. It's a quick way to confirm whether your watering routine is actually soaking into the soil or simply wetting the surface before evaporating. The second test checks for something entirely different. The tug test. Find a brown section of turf and gently grab a handful of grass. Pull upwards with steady pressure. Healthy grass should remain firmly anchored because the roots are still holding it securely in place. If the turf lifts easily like a loose piece of carpet, with very few roots attached, it's time to investigate below the surface. That often points towards underground pests rather than drought. Grubs feed on grass roots beneath the soil, gradually separating the turf from the ground until entire sections can be rolled back with very little effort. Sod webworms can create similar damage, particularly during the warmer weeks of summer. Treating drought with insect control won't solve the problem. Treating grub damage with additional watering won't solve it either. That's why taking just a few moments to identify the real cause before applying any product is one of the smartest decisions you can make during August. Accurate diagnosis nearly always leads to better results than guessing. 9. Monitor and manage disease risks. Heat isn't the only challenge your lawn faces during August. Warm temperatures combined with lingering humidity create ideal conditions for several common fungal diseases that become much more active as summer progresses. Many homeowners don't notice the warning signs until large areas of the lawn begin changing color. Brown patch, dollar spot, rust. These are among the most common late summer lawn diseases, and they all take advantage of grass that's already under stress. The encouraging news is that good lawn care habits often reduce the chances of serious outbreaks before fungicides are ever needed. Start by looking at your watering schedule. If you're still watering late in the evening, you're giving fungi exactly what they prefer: warm nights with moisture sitting on the grass blades for hours. Switching to early morning watering allows the grass to dry naturally as temperatures rise, reducing the amount of time leaves remain wet. Air movement also plays an important role. If shrubs, hedges, or overhanging branches block airflow around sections of your lawn, moisture lingers much longer after rain or irrigation. Light pruning to improve air circulation can make a noticeable difference, especially in shaded areas where damp conditions persist throughout the day. It's also worth paying attention after periods of heavy rainfall. Even if you haven't watered for several days, prolonged humidity and repeated showers can still create the perfect environment for fungal problems to develop. The healthier and less stressed your lawn remains, the better it can resist disease naturally. That's another reason why proper watering, sensible mowing heights, and avoiding unnecessary stress all work together rather than as separate jobs. Each good habit strengthens the next. 10. Pause. Chemical post-emergent herbicides. Seeing weeds spread across the lawn during August often tempts homeowners to reach straight for a bottle of weed killer. Before you do, take a look at the weather forecast. Air temperature matters far more than many people realize. When temperatures climb above 85 degrees Fahrenheit, or around 29 degrees Celsius, many liquid post-emergent herbicides become much riskier to use on heat-stressed lawns. Instead of only affecting the weeds, they can also damage the surrounding grass, leaving discolored patches that may take weeks to recover. That's why spraying during a heat wave usually creates more problems than it solves. Waiting for cooler conditions is often the safer and more effective option. There's another situation where patience becomes even more important. If you're planning to overseed your lawn later in August or during early autumn, stop applying herbicides altogether. Fresh grass seed needs every opportunity to germinate and establish healthy roots. Applying post-emergent herbicides before seeding can interfere with that process, reducing germination and slowing the development of your new lawn. However, there's one important exception. If you're not planning to overseed this autumn, late August can become an excellent opportunity to think ahead instead of reacting after weeds appear. As soil temperatures begin falling towards 70 degrees Fahrenheit and continuing downward, many winter annual weeds prepare to germinate beneath the surface. Weeds such as annual bluegrass, commonly known as Poa annua, along with henbit and several other winter weeds, begin establishing long before they're visible. Applying a fall pre-emergent herbicide at the correct soil temperature creates a protective barrier that prevents many of those weed seeds from developing in the first place. Notice the difference. Post-emergent herbicides deal with weeds you can already see. Pre-emergent herbicides help prevent certain weeds from appearing at all. Choosing the right approach depends entirely on your plans for the lawn over the coming weeks. If overseeding is on your schedule, avoid herbicides and prepare the soil for new grass instead. If you aren't introducing new seed, a well-timed pre-emergent application may save you a considerable amount of work when winter annual weeds would otherwise begin taking hold. Every successful lawn is built on making the right decision at the right time. August isn't simply about correcting problems that already exist. It's also about preparing for the ones that haven't appeared yet, and that's exactly why the next steps become so important. Before autumn arrives, there are a few final jobs beneath the surface that can dramatically improve how your lawn recovers, thickens, and performs during the months ahead. 11. Conduct a soil test. By the time August begins drawing to a close, many homeowners are already thinking about fertilizer, grass seed, lime, sulfur, and every product lining the shelves at the garden center. The temptation is to buy what promises the quickest results and hope it gives the lawn the boost it needs before autumn arrives. But applying products without knowing what's happening beneath the surface is a little like taking medication without knowing what's causing the illness. Sometimes you'll get lucky. Other times you'll spend money solving a problem your lawn never had. That's exactly why a soil test is one of the smartest investments you can make before carrying out any major autumn lawn work. A basic soil test tells you something your eyes simply can't. It reveals your soil's pH and whether important nutrients are actually available to the grass. Many homeowners assume poor color automatically means the lawn needs fertilizer. In reality, the nutrients may already be present in the soil, but an incorrect pH prevents the roots from absorbing them efficiently. Adding more fertilizer won't fix that problem. It simply adds more nutrients the lawn still can't use. The same applies to products such as lime or sulfur. Both have important uses, but only when the soil actually requires them. Applying either one without testing first can move the pH even further away from the range where healthy grass performs best. Think of a soil test as creating a roadmap before spending money. Instead of guessing which products might help, you're making decisions based on what your lawn actually needs. That approach almost always produces better results while avoiding unnecessary expense. As autumn approaches, every improvement you make should have a purpose. A soil test gives those decisions a solid foundation. 12. Inspect and manage thatch. The next thing worth checking isn't always visible until you look a little closer. Part the grass with your fingers and examine the area where the green blades meet the soil. Between them, you'll often find a layer of dead stems, roots, and organic material known as thatch. A small amount is perfectly normal. In fact, a thin layer helps cushion the soil and provides a degree of insulation. Problems begin when that layer becomes too thick. If the thatch measures more than about half an inch on a cool season lawn, it starts working against you rather than for you. Instead of allowing water to soak into the soil, it can trap moisture near the surface. Instead of letting nutrients and oxygen reach the roots, it creates another barrier they must pass through. Grass roots may even begin growing within the thatch itself, rather than anchoring deeply into the soil where they belong. The result is a lawn that dries out more quickly, responds poorly to watering, and struggles to establish strong roots. Late August provides an excellent opportunity to inspect that layer before autumn growth begins. If excessive thatch is present, scheduling dethatching during the late summer recovery period allows water, air, and sunlight to reach the soil much more effectively. It's one of those jobs that isn't needed every year. But when it is needed, delaying it often slows every other improvement you're trying to achieve. Healthy roots need direct access to the soil beneath them. Removing excessive thatch helps restore that connection. 13. Aerate compacted, high-traffic areas. Even a healthy lawn can struggle if the soil beneath it has become compacted. Think about the areas of your lawn that receive the most use. The route children take across the garden every day. The path to the shed. The area where pets spend most of their time. The section beside the patio where everyone gathers during summer. Every footstep presses the soil particles a little closer together. Over time, those spaces that normally hold air and water begin disappearing. When that happens, roots face an uphill battle. Water struggles to penetrate deeply. Oxygen becomes limited. Nutrients move through the soil less efficiently. Root growth slows. The lawn may still look green after rain, but beneath the surface, it's working much harder than it should. Core aeration solves that problem by removing small plugs of soil and creating thousands of tiny channels throughout the lawn. Those openings allow water to soak in more effectively, improve oxygen movement around the roots, and reduce the density that's been building all summer. For cool season lawns, late August is often an excellent time to plan or begin aeration, as soil temperatures start moving into the recovery range. Rather than simply treating the symptoms above the ground, aeration improves the growing conditions below it. Everything you've already done, watering correctly, mowing properly, fertilizing at the right time, works even better when the roots can actually access the air, moisture, and nutrients they're receiving. Sometimes improving a lawn isn't about adding more. It's about removing the barriers that prevent the lawn from using what it already has. 14. Prepare bare patches for early fall overseeding. If there are thin areas or bare patches scattered across your lawn, don't wait until the day you plan to spread grass seed before preparing them. The work you do beforehand often determines how successful your overseeding will be. Start by removing dead grass, loose debris, and any remaining layer of thatch covering the exposed soil. New seed needs direct contact with the ground beneath it. If it lands on loose material instead of soil, germination rates drop dramatically. Once the area has been cleared, loosen the top layer of soil with a rake. You don't need to dig deeply. Simply breaking up the surface creates an ideal environment for young roots to establish themselves once the seed begins growing. Preparing these areas during late August means everything is ready the moment soil temperatures reach the ideal range for overseeding. There's no last-minute rush. No scrambling to clear weeds or remove debris while valuable planting conditions begin slipping away. You're simply waiting for the right moment to sow. That preparation often makes the difference between patches that quickly blend into the surrounding lawn and areas that continue struggling well into the following year. The best autumn lawns rarely happen by accident. They're usually the result of careful preparation carried out weeks earlier. August has always been a turning point for the lawn. It's the month when summer stress reaches its peak, but it's also the month that determines how well your grass recovers once cooler temperatures return. Water deeply instead of often. Water early in the morning. Keep the grass tall. Mow with sharp blades. Leave short clippings behind. Understand whether you're caring for a cool season or warm season lawn before applying fertilizer. Allow dormant grass to protect itself naturally. Use the screwdriver and tug tests before guessing what's causing brown patches. Stay ahead of disease by reducing prolonged moisture on the blades. Apply herbicides at the right time, not simply when weeds appear. And before autumn arrives, prepare the soil so every improvement you make has the greatest possible chance of succeeding. Small adjustments made now can completely change how your lawn looks over the coming months. If you're ready to stop wasting time on plants that die every winter and finally build a garden that takes care of itself, don't forget to grab your copy of The Plant Once Garden. It's 150 pages of everything this channel teaches, completely mapped out for you. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now, or click the link in the description below to get started. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.